Hi Kelly, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. Thanks, I'm doing really good. Um, Guys, we're talking live on Facebook Live with Kelly Janine, who's currently in Mexico, but came through our Thailand internship program in on the island of Koh Chang in April of 2016. Is that right?
Yep, it seems like such a long time ago.
Excellent. But what is, yeah, just a little bit over a year ago. Guys, for those of you who haven't met me on Facebook Live yet, my name is Ben Hesketh. I'm one of the TEFL Heaven team, and I'm going to be having this chat with Kelly today. So Kelly, just to get started then, you're in Mexico right now, but you started out in Thailand. It's a little bit over a year ago, so it seems like you've done quite a lot inside of 12 months.
Pretty much, yeah. I did the TEFL course in Koh Chang in April, and then I spent some time in Ayutthaya, which was beautiful, and I worked in a kindergarten elementary school in Ayutthaya, which was an experience, but it was really nice. And then from there, I did a bit of traveling around Thailand, came home for Christmas, and then I came to Mexico just after Christmas. So in January, I came to Mexico, and here I am. This is where I live. It's early morning here in Mexico. It's 8:30. So got my
8:30. Have you been up for a while?
mm, yeah, the mornings start really early here in Mexico. We normally start class at 7 a.m. The
7
school day is 7 until 2. Yeah, but it's a
Really?
nice change. It's a good adjustment. Adjustment. It's nice.
Yeah. So you like the early mornings. I guess you just get used to it, don't you? You go to bed earlier, you wake up earlier.
Well, yeah, because then you have all afternoon after 2 o'clock to do what you want, and you've still got the most of the day, so it's better.
Great. Well, we're going to touch on that because I know a lot of people want to know what TEFL teachers get up to in their spare time. But it sounds like, yeah, you've been on quite a journey over the last 12 months. So for the sake of those who are watching the video, I want to go back to the beginning and kind of take them through your journey a little bit. So it's pretty much the first question I always ask people at the interview is when they interview for us. And I know that we interviewed a little bit over a year ago, and it was quite a
I
memorable
know it's
interview,
nice
right?
to see you again. It's strange that we spoke over a year ago, and you did my interview for the course, and now a whole year later, and we're talking now. But I remember that interview being a very strange interview. Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah. I think
Remember
you did
what?
something that nobody has ever done before, or whoever has ever done since. And what was that?
I played guitar for you in an interview.
That is a unique and fantastic experience that I was very grateful for. And
I'm sorry that you had to go through that. All I can do is apologize.
not at all, not at all. All it showed me is that you were fully prepared to stand in front of a group of people and I was
Make a
going to
fool
say.
of myself.
I didn't want to say that, Kelly, but you said it now. Yeah, as I recall, I was mesmerized by your guitar
You'll be
playing.
pleased
So
to know that I have laid down the guitar and have moved on to a ukulele, a much easier instrument. You'll be pleased to know.
you haven't got that with you, have you?
Actually, no, I'm kidding. I don't.
Okay, great. Well, I really want to ask then. So, why did you start this journey? Why did you leave the United Kingdom, probably having a great life, great time, and teach English in Thailand? What got you there?
So I remember I graduated uni a few years before, and I wasn't really doing much. I'd worked in a school as an assistant, and I'd helped out in a language school. And I remember liking it and wanting to do it, but I wasn't doing anything. I was working in a coffee shop, and I remember having something big thing in my life and thinking I just want to leave. I want to go somewhere. I saw actually one of those silly stickers, like a car sticker, and it was like a little globe, and it said, "What is the point in living in the world if you're not going to see it?" And I was
Mm.
like, "That's a really good point. I don't. All I can see is Sheffield. Like I want to, I want to go somewhere else." So I did a bit of research, went on old Google, and TEFL Heaven popped up. I did my research, and uh, then I ignored it. Then I forgot about it. 6 or 7 months, I just had the idea in my head, but just didn't do anything about it. And then something else happened, and I revisited the idea and was like, okay, now it's time to actually do it. But I wasted maybe 7 months because I was just hesitating, and looking back on it now, I wish I'd just done it, because for those 6-7 months I didn't do anything. I just worked in a coffee shop, and I kind of wasted half a year because I was hesitating. So I definitely should have done it sooner.
Yeah. So what was holding you back? Did you have some sort of fears or things?
I was terrified.
What were you scared of? What were you terrified of? Because I know it's normal.
I'm genuinely scared of everything. I was worried about leaving my life, leaving all my friends, starting afresh. I was worried about language, getting lost. What if I'm not a good teacher? What if I don't like it? What if I get sick? Like, just everything that you feel like you could probably be scared of about doing that. I had all those fears. But I remember thinking, you just need to just get over it and do it. And none of those fears actually manifested. Like, yes, I was sick, but it was solved quite easily. Like, yes, language was quite daunting, but you learn it and you adapt. And I was worried that I wasn't going to make any friends, and I've made the best friends I'll ever have in my entire life. So none of these fears ever actually became something that I should have been scared of.
Yeah. But you can be forgiven for feeling those things, because I think everyone does, because, you know, you're not talking about, like, I don't know, going to a university up somewhere in a different part of the country. You're talking about going to a different country completely, you know, and it's such a huge change. And so it's naturally, I think it's daunting, but you probably look back now.
The change is the best part. You can have your life in England or in wherever you are, and then you just pick up and go somewhere else and be someone else. And I was thinking about this earlier, actually. Like, I'm a completely different person to how I was when I started this course, and I would not have been able to do any of the things that I'm doing now if I hadn't overcome those fears. If I just kind of said, oh no, it's too scary, I'm not going to do it, I'd probably still be working in a coffee shop in a centre in Sheffield, and that's not the life that I've ever wanted. And now I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm meeting people and exploring and having a really great time. And even at the beginning of the course, I don't think, if you'd said to me, like on Coach Ann, in June you're going to be in Mexico, I'd be like, well, really? This is crazy. But it makes you so confident as a person and as a character. And
yes,
it's all about growth, I think.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it enlarges the soul. That's what I always say to people. You know, having this experience, it enlarges the soul, broadens your perspective. You see the world through different eyes, and it's just a great thing for rounding your character. And, you know, I think, yeah, it can't speak highly enough of just having the experience. And I've always said to people that one of the most ironic things about being a teacher is that you learn more than you teach. It's just like, it's such a personal journey.
So true. That is completely true. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. So you went to Thailand. You could have obviously gone to lots of different places. Why? What drew you there, first of all? Why was that your first place?
Honestly, my brother had been traveling, and he'd been around the world, loads of different places, and he always spoke so highly of Thailand. And when he came back, he said, we need to go to Thailand. And me, my brother, my mum and my dad, we went on a little holiday to Thailand, and I was just like, this place is incredible. And I'd already had the idea that I was going to do this course, and I absolutely fell in love with the people, the culture, the weather, everything about it was just, it was really, it's such a serene place, and you just feel comfortable. And I remember thinking, yeah, this is scary, but this is, I could totally live here, and that's why I picked Thailand. Yeah. And it's everything that I expected it to be, and so much more. It does something to you, that place. It really does.
Yeah, it really, really does. And you know what? I mean, for us, it's the most popular program. It's where most people go to. But if I had a pound, or I guess, or $1.21 for every time somebody said they'd fallen in love with Thailand, I'd be a really rich man, because it's just one of those places where I don't know what it does to you, but it really gets under your skin. And I think from my own experience of living there, it's just really liberating, because I don't know, it's Thailand. You can pretty much do what you want to some degree. Yeah. And that's a really nice thing. You know, it's very different from back in the UK and probably in the US as well.
It's spiritual as well. Like, it has an effect on your being. Like, I remember when I got there, I was a nervous wreck. Like, I suffered with anxiety disorders and all sorts of stuff, and I was worried about doing anything. And so for me, even going there in the first place was terrifying. It was a massive step for me. And then when I got there, I just remember feeling this sort of sense of like calm, and it's just so chill, and there is literally nothing to be afraid of. Nothing. I remember getting lost once in Ayutthaya in the middle of the night, getting completely lost, and I definitely had maybe one too many Chan beers, and I was a bit lost, a bit confused. And there was another Farang, how you call him, another foreign teacher that come across me and was like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And I was like crying and was like, "I'm lost. I don't know where I am." And she put me on the back of her motorbike and just drove me around and then took me to where I was. And it was just, I just remember thinking that wouldn't happen in England. Like you wouldn't get on someone's motorbike in England. You wouldn't do it. But yeah, everyone is so friendly. They call it the land of smiles for a reason. So
yeah, it's a true statement, isn't it? It really is. And it rubs off on you as well. You know, I remember getting back from Thailand. I think it was the first time, and you know, you just kind of like walking down the street, like, hey, and people are like, yeah, you're a bit odd.
You're crazy. You're like, this is totally normal for me.
Yeah.
But it changes your perspective on things. I remember before I went to Thailand, having arguments with friends or getting really upset over something really, really trivial and really silly, and then going to Thailand and thinking none of that matters. Like it's so trivial, and it's just you cannot let yourself get overwhelmed over the very silly little trivial things in life. When look around, and I remember being getting upset over an argument that I had with somebody, and I was just laid on Lonely Beach on Koh Chang thinking, none of this matters. Like I can be whoever I want to be now. Like if you're upset with how you are as a person, now's your time to change it. And this experience lets you do that. It lets you discover who you actually are and learn how to portray it properly.
Yeah, that's right. And just briefly, what did you think of Koh Chang as a location?
It's I don't have words. It's stunning. It's just so nice, and it's not just a beach. Like there's a beautiful beach, but the nightlife is really cool. It's quite small. Everybody knows each other, and it's really safe. It's so safe, and it's just beautiful. I'm planning to go back and visit, and it's just the most beautiful place. I have been to the other islands where you do the course. I did some traveling after I finished my term in Thailand, but I would definitely recommend Koh Chang.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Koh Chang is a little island that's kind of right in the sort of far east of Thailand, near the border of Cambodia. And you know, one of the things I love most about the island of Koh Chang, and this has always amused me every time I've gone back there, is that you have a road that goes around the island, but it doesn't go the whole way around the island. It goes about 95% of the way around the island. And I just always imagine these kind of Thais, you know, making this road and then getting to the end of it and going, do you know what? That'll be all right. That'll be fine. It doesn't have to go the whole way around. Exactly. Yeah, might been right. Let's go and have a try.
Is what everybody says in Thailand, which essentially means don't worry about it. Like, it's okay. It'll be fine. And that is the motto I still live by. I got it tattooed on my leg in Thai. Like,
really?
It's just a motto that you just totally need to live by. Just don't worry about it. And that's exactly what this experience does to you. It makes you just think, it's going to be fine. And it is. Yeah. It's totally cool.
That's right. It removes those limitations that you had in place in life. And that's the great thing. And, you know, there's three concerns that people have often. I think the three biggest concerns when people come to us. So I wanted to address those briefly, just from your experience with dealing with those. So the first is visa. The second is always salaries. And the third is kind of accommodation. So with regards to the visa, because a lot of people like visa, they're like, it sounds like a really scary thing you're going to have to deal with. How was that whole process for you?
It was a little bit daunting, purely because, I mean, turning on a light switch is daunting for me. Everything is daunting for me. So it was a little bit daunting, but you get so much support, and you are literally baby steps through the whole thing. Like, I never thought, what happens next? Like, I knew what the entire process was, which made it so much easier. And it's really not as bad as it looks. Like, you look at the process and you think, I've got to go here, then there, then this, and excuse me. Once you actually do it, it's really not that difficult. And then it's done, and then you're there for a year, and you're like, oh, that was easy. And it's really not that bad. And you get so much help and support, and it's one of those things that you you worry about, and then you think that was absolutely unnecessary. You do not need to freak out over it. It's one of those things that you have to do, and when it's done, it's like going to the bank. Like you think, oh, I don't particularly want to go to the bank, or I don't want to go and change my phone contract or whatever. But you do it, and then it's done, and then you don't think about it again. Like you talking about my visa for Thailand is the first time I've thought about it since I've done it.
Really? Oh, that just goes to show in itself, doesn't it?
Passing thought. Yeah, it's really, really easy. Don't get overwhelmed by it. It's easy to get overwhelmed, but you have so much support and you know exactly what the steps are that it's once it's done, and then it's sorted really.
Perfect. Okay, so with regards to like salary, it's rather I'm not asking you to disclose your salary, but whilst you were there, but just kind of that ratio of salary to living cost. You know, how comfortable are you going to be? You going to be okay over there?
It's so easy. I never struggled. Thailand. If we talk about Thailand in particular, I don't even remember what it was, but I remember going and buying food and doing some shopping and thinking that was the equivalent of about £3. You know, like that's crazy. And the cost of living is so cheap. Your apartment, you can get really nice apartments for really little money. And for me as well, halfway through my term, I was offered some extra work for extra money, and I didn't really need the money, but it all went into a savings for me to go traveling after I'd finished my contract. So I worked at other schools, like private language schools in the evening as well, and had private students, and I was offered that sort of work weekly. Yeah. And I turned it down for the first like 2 months because I was like, well, I don't need it. And then I thought, well, I don't need it, but I can use it and save it and go traveling with it. So I did that and had like a little extra pot. I never needed to dip into it. My salary was always enough. But if you do find yourself struggling and you do find that you're spending a lot, because that might just be who you are as a person. I remember my friend I was out there with just loved the little Thai hippie shops with all the bags and the things, and she just went nuts every day, bought loads of stuff. And then she was like, this is where my money's going because I'm buying loads of things. And then she just got an extra job in the evening, just working in a language school or private students, and then she was fine. So I don't think you'd need the extra money, but if you did, there is always work being offered constantly. I had to turn it all down. There's a very high demand for native English speakers in Thailand, so there's always going to be work for extra money if you need it.
Yeah, that's great. Which is a nice position to be in because it's nice to be able to turn down work rather than having to go searching for it. So cool. Okay, so the last one of the big three concerns that people normally have is that transition from the end of the training into their long-term accommodation and the kind of what happens there, because, you know, everyone wants to know they've got a roof over their head. So how was that for you?
What do you mean, like in my accommodation or going from one place to the next? Or both?
Yeah, good question, actually. So I should have clarified. So in terms of getting your long-term accommodation after the training, when you arrived at UTIA, how easy was that process?
Oh, it was so easy. Like, I remember my agent picking me up. I met her halfway between Bangkok and UTIA. I just got in a taxi and met her halfway. She picked me up. We went to this really nice cafe where there were other teachers that just started. And I was really lucky. I was with two other wonderful people, Courtney and Milo, who I'll never forget, that were on my course with me. And we were placed in a UTIA, and Courtney and I were both on the same school, and I was extremely lucky for that. And I remember seeing them sat in that cafe and me being like, yes, I'm so happy you're here. And we had a little induction, and then we were taken to our accommodation that was organised. And then from then, that was it really. Like, you meet your colleagues, you meet your friends. There's always, and I guarantee there will always be other English teachers around you. You will never be on your own. Never. All the people that I've spoken to that have made that transition from the training to the full-time job, they've never said, oh, I don't have anyone here, or there's not another English teacher. There's always been somebody. I was lucky. I had maybe 12 or 14 people around me that I came really close to my entire time. Yeah, and I think that's common. I think everywhere you go as an English teacher, there's going to be other English teachers. And those friendships and that support from my agent made everything so much easier for me. And I wouldn't see it as a transition, really. It didn't really... I didn't really think, oh, now it's time to start. It just kind of all merged into one, and that was probably the least terrifying part, I think.
That's great. Well, that's good. It was good to hear your experience of it because, as I say, that is definitely one of the big concerns that people have. So now I'm really keen to ask you about your transition because you were in Thailand and now you've gone east to west. You're in Mexico. And so tell me about that transition. So I want to know, how did you get the job in Mexico?
So my brother is an English language teacher as well, and he did a bit of traveling, went around the world, and then decided he was going to go to Mexico. He met somebody here, moved here, and then started a job here. And I got back from Thailand. I'd done some traveling. I was at home, and I was miserable. Back in England, I was absolutely miserable over Christmas. I was the lowest I've ever been in my life.
Oh no, that's horrible.
Yeah, thinking my life was so great and like in Thailand, and now I'm back home, and I think why did I miss this, you know? And even though I was super happy to be back with my friends and family, I kind of yearned for more and I wanted more. And I was thinking, oh, I'm going to go back to Thailand. That was my first thought. It was, okay, I'm going to go somewhere else. Maybe now I'll go to Bangkok or go somewhere else, go to Phuket. And then my brother called me and was like, we have a position at our school in Upayep, and I've told my boss about all your training and your experience in Thailand, and they want to interview you. And I thought, oh, Mexico, it's a far cry from Thailand. Okay, this is terrifying. What do I do? So I thought, okay, I'll just do the interview and I'll hear her out and kind of see how it is. And I did the interview and then just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. Because I remember I kind of having that fear originally about Thailand and then realizing that there was nothing to be afraid of made me think this is probably going to be the same. Yeah, it's a bit scary, but it's probably going to be totally worth it. So I just said, cool, okay, let's do it. I accepted the job, and 2 weeks later, I was living in Mexico.
Really?
Like 2 weeks. That was it. So it's crazy.
Was it nice? So you left the UK in the winter, in the cold winter, and you went over to Mexico. But it was nice, refreshing to get over there, a bit more heat.
It's lovely here. It depends where you are. Like I visited Veracruz and Cancun, and it's really humid. But where I am, I live in Puebla. I live in a town called Puebla, a tiny little the state is Puebla, and the town is Cholula, and it's tiny. Okay. And it's kind of sandwiched in between two giant volcanoes. And you can see them every morning, and it's beautiful. And you open your eyes and you walk outside, and it's this giant volcano, and it's great. It's really nice. And so it's not really that humid here. It's really hot. The mornings are chilly and the evenings are chilly, but during the day it's boiling. But it's not humid, and it's nice because you're not sweaty and sticky. You're just a bit warm. So it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice heat. I remember actually when you mentioned the humidity, when the first time I lived in Thailand, and I used to go around, my friends used to think it was funny because I had sweatbands around my wrists where it was just so humid and having to wipe my forehead. But yeah, you get used to it. But then after a while, you kind of forget, you don't wear them because you just get used to it. Your body adjusts, doesn't it?
You totally adapt, don't you? I remember in Thailand, my first couple of months. Have you seen, I don't know if I should be, the episode of Friends where Monica is in Barbados and she has the humidity and her hair goes really, really big. And I felt like that in Thailand. I was so humid, I had an afro for like the first 2 months of being in Thailand.
It's part of the adjustment. But yeah, so as far as being in Mexico now, so you taught in Thailand, now you're teaching in Mexico. Have you had to really sort of adjust your teaching style, or as far as the actual teaching is concerned, what transition has taken place there?
Yeah, it's different because in Thailand I was teaching kindergarten and elementary, and now I'm teaching high school. Okay. So the kids that I was teaching in Thailand were between the ages of 5 and 9, and the kids I'm teaching now are between the ages of 15 and 19. Right. So I definitely had to adjust because I can't teach them row, row, row your boat. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't do that with 19-year-olds. It's a bit different.
Not if you want them to take you seriously, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do play my guitar. I'm not going to lie. That's one thing I haven't lost. But,
always a winner, Jin. Always a winner.
It's my winning trick. It works every time. But yeah, so I've had to adjust a bit. But when I did the TEFL training, you get prepared for that. Like you learn how to teach every age and every age group and different styles. So I learned through the training how to teach 5 to 9-year-olds, and I learned how to teach 15 to 19-year-olds, and I learned how to teach adults. And so when I finished in Thailand and I came here, like in Thailand, I used my knowledge of teaching 5 to 9-year-olds. And then when I came here, I just remembered everything that I learned in the training. And it's quite an easy transition, really. You have to change some of the things that you teach, obviously, and the style is different. But in Thailand, it was difficult because not everybody is bilingual. And you're kind of teaching them from scratch, more or less, especially the younger ones. Like you are teaching them red, green, yellow, blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, house, dog, cat. You're teaching them the basics. But here in Thailand, it's advanced. In Thailand, where am I? Mexico. Here in Mexico, it's more advanced, and you can you can teach them grammar, or you can have conversations with them. And the school that I work at is Upayat Anganopolis. It's a great school, and it's a part of a university. And there's 9 different high schools in the university, and I work in one of them. And they're all bilingual. So all of their other lessons are taught in English as well. So they're taught Mexican history and maths and science all in English. So it's definitely easier, I think, to teach in Mexico, but you get more experience teaching in Thailand because you've learned your own teaching style.
Yeah, that's right. I think
saying that, it's easy teaching in Thailand too, because it's not difficult teaching red, green, yellow, blue, so.
Yeah, but it's nice because I think one of the great things about TEFL really is as a style of teaching, because it's there's a lot of creativity involved. You really get to put your own personal stamp on it, don't you? You really kind of get to come in from your own angle, which I imagine is nice. You having that freedom.
Yeah, you have the total freedom to kind of, like in both schools and both countries that I've taught in, I've been given a guideline. Like I've been given, this is what you need to teach them, but do it in your own way. So I've been given like a syllabus, like a criteria, like you have to teach them, like for example, Thailand, you have to teach them time, colors, animals. Okay, and that's it. That's what you're told. And then you can go, okay, how can I teach them time in my own creative way, that they're going to remember and benefit from, and they're going to enjoy. So you think of a game, or you make up something, and then that becomes a routine that you do to refresh your memory on time every lesson. And that's the sort of thing. And it's the same here in Mexico. Like Kelly, this week you have to teach them prepositions, and you have to teach synonyms, for example. That's just an example. And you think, okay, that's it. That's what you're told. And you think, okay, how can I do that in a unique way that they're going to remember and understand? And you take into consideration their age and their level. And you can do fun things. Like, for example, the kids that I'm teaching now are older. So you can create things like have them create a menu or something, like do something creative where they're using their English language, and then or identify the synonym in this, and it's like a description of a celebrity or something, like you can do it, you can adapt it to their age and level, and it's such a fun job. Like you don't have to really think too much, if that makes sense. Once you've had the training, once you've been taught how, it just comes natural. And that was one of my fears. I remember thinking, after the training, what if I can't do it, or what if I don't remember? But you're trained in such a way that it just goes into your head, and then it doesn't leave, and it just comes natural to you, and you adapt, and it's really easy. It's your second nature, really. Being a teacher becomes second nature.
Yeah, I was going to say it all comes quite habitual, doesn't it? You just kind of you go into teacher mode and you just go through it, and with the style as well, you should also, I always think, have as much fun as your students. It's my personal opinion, because then you kind of build that bridges and there's relationships with them, and it's a much better environment. So what do you get up to on weekends then? Like, are you sitting around twiddling your thumbs? I bet you're not.
No, I don't think. In Thailand or in Mexico, I don't think there's ever been one day where I've gone, I'm bored. Like, you can be bored if you want to be. Like, if you want to sit at home and just have a relaxing day, you totally can. But there is no shortage of things to do in anywhere you go. In Thailand, I was always adventuring off to the neighboring towns, or trying new food, visiting new places. And it's the same here in Mexico. There's always something to do. Always something to do. I remember, like last weekend, I went, and the volcano we talked about, I attempted to climb it,
Really?
Main word. Yeah, I didn't get very far. I didn't get very far, but the attempt was there. And you can do things like that, and it was a really nice experience. And there's always something to do. Go out with friends, and nightlife is great wherever you go, really. Food, I make a point of trying something different as often as I can, which is probably quite scary because the food is terrifying here. But
in what way?
you don't know spice until you've come to Mexico. I'm just saying, like, you think you've had something spicy, but then you come to Mexico and your mouth and your mind is just completely burned and destroyed. But in a good way, like, it's delicious, but be prepared because, it's so spicy, the food.
Yeah. Well,
really good.
I think Mexico is one of the food capitals of the world. You've just got some of the most famous cuisine comes from Mexico. And,
it's incredible.
Yeah, it really, really is. So it sounds like, your weekends are busy and you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. There's always something to do, and you have time to do your lesson plans as well. Like what I tend to do, there's like a little park near where I live, and I take my little notebook because I'm the worst. I'm such an old-fashioned teacher. Like I'm a technophobe. I don't use a laptop. I use a notebook and a pen. I'd use a typewriter if I could. Like that's how old-fashioned I am. And I take my little notebook and I go and sit in the park by a tree and write my lesson plan that way.
That's nice.
Yeah, you feel like, because one of the things I was worried about is, am I going to be sat in an office writing lesson plans? No, you can do it whenever. It takes 2 minutes and it doesn't take long, and you get to the stage where you don't even need to do it. It's just in your head. You just know what you're going to do, and you're confident enough to just go in and do it without writing it down. There's loads of little cafes, nice little places where you can go, take your work on a little adventure and do it that way.
That's great. Okay, well, I've just got 2 more questions I want to ask you. So, if you could jump in a time machine and you could go back a year ago or maybe a little bit more, and you could give yourself one bit of advice for this whole journey that you might have sort of done a little bit differently at the beginning, or anything that you would want to tell yourself at the beginning of this journey, what would it be?
First, there's a few things actually.
Go on, go for it.
I'd say don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. Because like I said, I delayed my journey by 6 or 7 months just because I was doubting myself and my abilities and how I'd cope. So I'd say don't hesitate, just do it, because you're just going to waste more time. And you're only on this earth once, and 6 months is a long time to be wasted when you could be exploring. So I'd say don't hesitate. The second thing is I would say do not concern yourself with trivial things like what other people think of you or how you come across to other people, because when you go on this journey, you learn things about yourself and you improve yourself, and you learn not to be affected by little things that people say. And I remember before I came on this journey, I was always bothered about what people thought about me, and someone would say something and I'd get really hurt, and then I'd be stuck in my room for a week thinking about it. And this journey, there's so much more to life than an opinion of somebody. So just live your life how you want to do it. Be your person that you want to be, and just grab the bull by the horns and just do it, and just be yourself, be unique, and go and discover. That's what I'd say. And I wish I'd learned that sooner, because when I started this journey, I kind of hung up on that. And I'd give myself the advice to just enjoy it and don't let things ruin it for you. Enjoy the beach, enjoy the weather, like breathe in the air and soak it up, and meet the people and listen to their stories and just learn. And knowledge is the key. And when you learn about other people, you learn about yourself. So I tell myself that. And the third thing I'd say is bring more mosquito wipes. That's the last thing that I would say. I got eaten alive. Definitely take your mosquito spray with your DEET. Make sure you do that. That's what I'd say. That's my advice.
Yeah, well, that's good advice, and I think we all have, as my mother always says, we all have a degree in hindsight, and it's great to be able to look back. So it's nice actually for you to be able to pass on that wisdom to those who are prospectively thinking of going on this journey, and that's great. So I've got one last question for you, which is, I guess, how would you say this has changed you as a person?
I don't have words. I couldn't articulate it. I'm a completely different person to how I was a year ago. I've grown in confidence, definitely. I used to kind of use my sort of creativity and extravagance to kind of mask things, and I'd be really loud and sort of boisterous, and uh, like a defense mechanism, I guess. And this journey has kind of taught me to just tone it down. You don't need to put on an act. You don't need to put on like different things. Just be yourself. And I've developed from that, and I've grown as a person, and it's helped with my anxiety. It's helped with my social skills. Like before, I'd be worried about getting on a bus and buying a ticket because I'd be worried about how I'd appear to the bus driver or something, or how it's silly little things that your anxiety kind of takes over. That this journey is literally taught me that none of that matters. Just, you grow as a person, and you learn about what you want to do as well. Like I've learned that I want this career. I want to be an advisor for children and be a teacher and an educator. And even if you do this just for the experience and you're not entirely sure that if you want to be a teacher, you will then, during this process, you will discover what you want to do, because it opens your eyes. And I remember a few people that I did the course with were telling me, I love the experience, it was great, and it's made me realize I want to be a psychiatrist, or it's made me realize I want to do this, and now I'm going to go back to uni and stuff. And it even if it's just a bridge, like it helps you learn what you want to do, and it's really good. Before we go, there's one more thing I wanted to just quickly say. I saw somebody mention about health, and they were worried about health, about how if you have a health condition, how this journey affects that. I'm a prime example of this. I suffer from fibromyalgia disease, and I was worried when it's a disease of an autoimmune disease of your muscles and your bones, and it affects you in a way with like chronic fatigue and muscle spasms and chronic pain. And I remember thinking, I am not going to be able to move to Thailand with fibro. Like, it's not going to be a thing. And that was one of the reasons why I delayed it. And then I remember just thinking, well, you just have to adapt, just do it, you'll never know. And it was never a problem. Like, I had great travel insurance, and I was sick whilst I was out there. During the training, I was quite unwell, and my trainers were like, it's fine, just take a few hours, go and have a rest, you'll be fine. Everybody is completely understanding. Just, if you have a health condition, tell your trainer, and you will get all of the support. I remember speaking before I came out with Mike, and he advised me on this travel insurance to get, and I went with Go Walkabout, and they were excellent. And whenever I needed, when I was in Thailand, I needed treatment for my condition, and it was sorted straight away, didn't have to worry about it. I paid money, and then I got the money back straight away, and I had all of the support. And if you have an underlying health condition, don't let it stop you, because it's completely irrelevant. Like, it doesn't matter. You can cope. And I suffered a little bit, and yes, it was painful, but I would have been like that at home. It's exactly the same how it would be in England. Like, it's not going to change. You're not going to get any better. You're not going to get any worse. And I definitely, saying not going to get better, my health has definitely improved. Like, the sunshine and the air and everything is different, and it improves your health. But I saw somebody say that they were worried about that, oh, I can't do it because I've got a health condition. Don't let it stop you. Let it help you.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm so glad you shared that. So thank you so much, because like you say, for some people that really is a massive roadblock. And like you say, from your own experience, I think it can be if you let it be. You've got to make life what you want it to be. And sometimes life is all about overcoming the obstacles, and that's what this journey is all about, really, isn't it? So great. Kelly, it's been so fun talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
It's been my pleasure. It's been nice. It's been nice seeing you again.
Yeah, likewise. I feel like you said, we've gone full circle now. So
crazy.
Who knows? Have you got any plans to go anywhere else after Mexico, or are you just taking it as it comes?
I like Mexico, to be honest. I mean, I love Thailand, but I've just been sort of awarded like a progression in my career here, which is great for me.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So I'll be staying here, I think, for the foreseeable future. And then if I want to move on, I will. I like the idea of Vietnam. I do like that idea.
It's a great
so maybe after Mexico, I'd go to Vietnam. I don't know. It's like back and forth. Or maybe somewhere in South America, maybe Argentina. I don't know. The world is my pretty little oyster. I'll go where I want.
That's fantastic. Well, I know that I think Mike talked to you about maybe some video blogs or writing some blogs on various things in Mexico. So hopefully those who are watching the video will have an opportunity to hear more from you
We
in the
have
future.
one. There is one that's already out. It's Day in the Life of a TEFL Teacher in Mexico. The one that I made, and it's on the Facebook group. So have a little look, check it out. It's basically me talking a lot, which you're probably used to by now. Yeah, I can show you some examples of food and places where I visited, pictures of the place and what it's like teaching at the school. So have a little look, check that out.
Perfect. Okay, grand. Well, I'm hoping that we'll hear more from you in the future as well. But thank you so much for taking the time. It's been an absolute pleasure and a blast to hear from you again. So have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your time in Mexico, and we'll hope to catch you further down the road and see where you are then.
Definitely. Take care then.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Right. Ooh. Yeah. I think that's it. I think. Yeah.
Are we still live? My little live button is still on. Oh. Bye again.
See you then. Bye.
How do we stop it?
Is that it? Are we?
No, we're still live.
We're still live, are we?